Right, good morning everybody. Welcome. Nice to see some people here in our marketing data session. Exactly, thank you. Hannah, who works for me, but yeah, great. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so thank you so much. I know we're a little bit delayed because we had to get mics on and session run over before, blah, 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 blah. So my intro will be a little bit quicker, but we are delighted to have you all here today. I know it's a session before lunch and you'll all be, wanting to head off out, but just stick with us. Any questions, please put it on the app. If you haven't downloaded the app, naughty you. It's a CVEN app. You have to go in, you have to put the certain code in, then you have to put your name and details in, and then you get a code sent to your email, and, if you haven't done it, get someone else to do it with the app. So yeah, all questions in the app, please. And we are going to ask Emma, who put a little comment on LinkedIn yesterday about data, just to say a little bit comment to add a bit of richness to what we're talking about. So welcome everyone today. How are we feeling? See, more whoops. That wasn't even a paid whoop. That's amazing. Okay, so we've got an incredible panel of people here today. And I do want to say I'm really sorry to say that Dan couldn't make it. He's really unwell, so we wish him all the best. I do also want to just do a little plug, not for me, but I have seen in the news today that Scottish Universities Press have announced that they are launching their first 2 books. So in terms of industry stuff, it's really exciting to see the stuff that's happening today. So with no further ado, the panel we have here today is Claire Webber from IOP Publishing. Say hi, Claire. Hi. Dustin Smith from Hum. And Natasha White from Wiley. See? And what we're going to be talking about is marketing data. So we've got lots of great insights. Everyone's going to talk about their experiences, their lessons learned. So please do take lots of good stuff away from this. What's really important is that we live in a post-digital world. And when I say post-digital, this is beyond physical, beyond virtual, well, beyond digital, and also beyond virtual as well. So we have to interact with our user base in so many different ways. So if you think about a society that has someone that's a member and it's a student member, how do they keep engaged with that member who's at a school and who's really young, all the way through to being published and carrying on through that journey? And segmentation is part of that, but it's really looking and analysing your data and making better choices. And sometimes it's just looking at the basics and making simple choices to say, how can we just do this a little bit better and delve into this? So it doesn't matter if you're big, it doesn't matter if you're small. You can make little changes that are going to make a huge difference. And this is what today is about sharing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to pass over to Claire, who's going to talk about digital transformation at IOP Publishing. And this is going to be very fascinating.
Oh, you've set the bar there.
I have.
Yeah.
Wait till we get to Natasha.
Thank you, Lou, and thank you for inviting me onto the panel today. Really great to be able to talk to everyone here about marketing data. And because it is a big topic, if anybody does want to talk to me afterwards, very happy to have a conversation or to follow up afterwards. So my role at IOP Publishing is head of the content and engagement marketing team. So we essentially do author marketing. We work very closely with our colleagues in the commissioning teams. And the perspective I'm going to bring today is of a society publisher who is very early on in a digital transformation journey. So I've got some learning points that we can share today with you. So our journey, to use an X Factor reference, kind of began about 2 years ago. And the focus at that point really was on how can we make data and customers central to our whole publishing experience. So what could we do initially to make sure that we were really understanding our customers, we had the best kind of quality data available to us, and that ran throughout the whole of the business. So the focus initially was on bringing in Snowflake to help us with some foundation work that we needed to do. We also wanted to look at how we can improve the back ends, the sales operations, finance as well. So that part went successfully. That's kind of done. Well, it's never done really, but the big part was done. And now we're on to our second phase, which is really focusing on author marketing and commissioning and our data strategy, and how those two teams can really focus on using customer data, using marketing data to, again, understand our customers, really focus on how we want that experience to be personalised, targeted, timely, all those great things that we really want with our marketing. So ALPSP, probably like many of you, have pockets of data all across the business that we've accumulated over several decades, from different systems, from different sources. So the real big challenge for us, for marketing in particular, was how we get the single source of truth with our data. So for our marketing teams, how could they be sure that that was the most current email address? How could they be sure that was the correct affiliation? How can we be sure that was an accurate representation of the publishing experience for them? How could we make sure we had captured all of the touch points and the marketing engagement that we had with that customer? So that was really crucial to us in knowing that we could trust our data. So that's the kind of guiding light for us, I guess, in terms of what we want to achieve with this. We want to have that trust in data. So that was really to make sure that we then decided on the best route that we wanted to get to in terms of our vision. And as Lou mentioned, we have partnered with Hum. We saw that as being
conflict of interest, just flagging. You know, these things happen suddenly.
And that was really because we identified the need initially for a customer data platform, and we opted for Hum's product and also the marketing services that Hum can provide in association with that. So again, I think one of the big challenges for us is our content platform is really well used. We get millions and millions and millions of visitors a year, but we don't know them at an individual level. We don't know who they are, who are coming in to read our content, what journeys they're going on as individuals. We understand from an institutional perspective, but not on an individual level. And you know, as we've heard the talks today, open access is really important, the customer-centric philosophy. So how can we in author marketing and other teams across the organisation really get to understand who's reading our content and the opportunities that that can give us as well? So what content are they reading but they're not perhaps publishing in, and vice versa? And you know, what is the content and the journey that we can take them on across our platform as well? So those were kind of the key elements, I guess, that we really wanted to focus on in terms of what our data strategy would be, where we saw the opportunities with improving customer data and how we can use that to inform our marketing data and our marketing strategies.
Amazing. Thank you, Claire.
Am I up next?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I know.
Dustin Smith from Hum, and there will be some nice segues here. So Hum is a customer data platform, or that's our core product. And so if we go back a little bit, we see the last big shift is the shift from print to digital. And platforms like Highwire and Silverchair and Adipon were instrumental in helping with that transition. So how do you take print artifacts and put them online? But that was really about reach. So how do you reach a maximal audience globally? And the next big shift we see is the shift to data and AI, and it's in service of things like personalization, individualization, getting down to that individual person. Why? Because you need to ultimately market to them. The thing is, publishers are maybe richest in content and audience among all sort of B2C sort of organizations on the planet. If you're to start today with a company that were to sell jackets, you would have to figure out, how do you acquire the audience? How do you engage with them in an authentic manner? You have to think about, initially advertising on the sort of authenticity of content. And IOP's in the sort of phase where they're saying we need to understand and engage with individuals in our audience. The nice thing is they're already there. They're getting value out of your content on a day-to-day basis. And the challenge historically has been understanding them at an individual level and understanding an anonymous audience until you can actually drive those sort of identity and conversion events. So our mission is ultimately to make that considerably easier, to build the infrastructure that helps with that shift to data and AI, to give publishers the ability to personalize and individualize user journeys, to drive things like personalized content recommendations, to give much better insights to editorial teams. And so One of the things you can do when you're tracking this rich level of behavioral and engagement data, and you're layering it in with some clever AI to do things like taxonomy building and topic extraction, is you can understand where are the places where you should be commissioning and publishing on more. And then you can actually move directly to who are the people who are engaging with content on those topics and drive interventions to that audience. So it's a very neat sort of end-to-end sort of thing when you actually grapple with this data, when you make it accessible. And our mission is to have Hum on every desk to democratize this sort of data and really transform how a publisher operates.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dustin. Right, Natasha, over to you. Just so you know the format, we're going to go through, I should have explained this before, but we had no time, and I'm just going to do it now very quickly. But we're just going through each of the experiences, then we've got a few questions, and then we'll do the Q&A of the app. So remember, write your question into the app. Dan's here, our lovely assistant. There we go. Natasha, please.
So, yeah, I'm Natasha White, and I work at Wiley. I look after all the journals and the courseware marketing for Wiley. And we've been on this data journey in marketing for some years. So we're probably a little bit further along than Claire, but everything that Dustin and Claire have talked about resonate really well for me. So in marketing, we've sort of taken a big shift, a bit like sort of very similar time, but actually the same time as open access. So that motivation of moving from a more B2B model in publishing to B2C really changed that shift for marketing as a profession within the publishing industry. And as authors and researchers became the consumer, you had to shift to that B2C consumer marketing model. And as consumers, like us, they're used to incredibly amazing personalised experience in their everyday lives. They're used to Amazon, they're used to Uber, and that's what they should get from us as publishers. And that obviously sounds a bit scary, but it's not. I think if I can do it, Claire can do it, other marketing departments can definitely do it. And what the most important thing, well, there's a few important foundations, but the data foundation is so important. So collecting the data and organising it sounds really simple. And we'll probably talk about how we do that. Similar to Claire, that involves technology, so data warehouse, we also use Snowflake, but data people who have the skills, don't just try and turn a marketer into a marketing data engineer, recruit them in. That type of thing is very important. So the technical infrastructure, the people, the skills, very important. The strategy and the culture, very important, all the way up to the CEO, all the way down to the very early career marketer have to be data-driven, data culture right in the centre. So obviously you can get the CEO to sign off and get you the data warehouse and have people involved in doing data strategy all over the company, not just in marketing. Very important. And then when you're collecting and organising the data, you then need to act on it. So that data activation, and there are marketing tools that can do that, but obviously, depending on how large your organisation, obviously Wiley's a very large publisher, so we have the resources to do that, but there are ways, and partnering with like Hum and other organisations to help you do that is very accessible. And last but not least, as Bill Gates said, content is king. So in the marketing profession, I've interviewed many, many people, as Lou knows, and normally with marketing people can be very diverse in their experience, and you'll sometimes get very data-driven, analytical people, and then very creative people. So it's a really broad profession, and you're expected to be all of them, but obviously they're often those people are at the opposite ends. And so my sort of thinking is always have both in your team, have both sets of people. And some people will be able to do both, but they're sort of unicorns. So not many of them out there. So don't forget about that creative side in marketing, because actually the consumer that you're going to, not only do they expect to get that personalised experience, but they expect it to be fun and engaging and useful. Yeah. So content is king, and really think about what you're saying to people, making sure that in that journey, whether you're getting them to publish or read something, whatever, What do they need to trigger them to nudge them over that? Or do you just want to engage them in your brand? So do you need a really fun engagement campaign? Because maybe they're at the top of the funnel, as we say in marketing. I'm going to use some terms that maybe not familiar to everyone. So early on in their relationship with you, or are they about to click our publish open access? And you have to think about the content throughout that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Natasha. So on to our first question. Dustin.
Let's go.
Maybe I've changed it. No, I haven't.
Let's keep it fresh.
Was it really boring?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so with limited resources, how do you recommend implementing data-driven decision-making processes? What a lot of words.
That is a lot of words, but so part of it is small, empowered teams and people who are capable, but also interested and invested in doing things like experimentation. So, for example, if you're going to say, create a segment of topically interested people, part of the experimentation is what is the sort of messaging that is going to drive the right sort of engagement. You talked about funnels. To what extent will a single shot or just a single message drive the sort of conversion and engagement? To what extent do you need to educate and nurture people through funnels? And those are the sort of things that small teams can do. When you have Wiley resources, a few more things are possible.
They're not infinite. I mean, everyone has a limit, right?
Yeah, of course. But the nice thing is small empowered teams, and I think the former Hindawi people would talk about that. Small empowered teams, you can move really quickly.
Yeah.
And part of that is a sort of permission structure. It's not all technology. The technology certainly helps.
I think they referenced that yesterday in the session with the small societies that were talking, and they were saying they're more agile and that they can move quicker, but then sometimes there is a lot of red tape and policy and governance that...
Yeah, it's wild. I won't name the customer that we worked with.
No, please do.
It was IOP. No, just kidding. But I mean, the smallest among the smallest, it's like we're co-amending the privacy policy together, and then large customers, it's like 6 lawyers in a room and 6 months. So there really is a sort of speed difference. So you can be resource poor, but sort of permission rich, and that'll get you a long way.
Brilliant, thank you, Dustin. Okay, Claire, I'm going to start with you. How have you brought teams across the business together for your shared goal?
Oh, well, I don't have the silver bullet answer for that one, but I will share how we have started to do that at IOP. So, again, with the phase that we're in currently, the key focus is bringing marketing and commissioning colleagues together. And probably, again, like many of you, we have worked quite siloed in the past. And I think what is a great opportunity that's come out of focusing the whole organisation on data and customers, and like Natasha said, that kind of B2C mindset now, is that we have to be working closer together. We have to be sharing our visions. Commissioning colleagues are doing marketing. They are going out there in the research communities. They are talking about their journal brands. They are building networks. They're building connections. They might be going out and talking to the next Nobel Prize laureates, the ones who are really going to be pushing that cutting edge research. And like Natasha said, marketing's at the top of the funnel. We're helping to raise that brand awareness. We're helping to nurture, retain those authors, to make conversations easier for the commissioning colleagues. So having that shared view of data is such a great opportunity, because we can see what the teams are going to be doing. We can see how the conversations and the interactions are going on with the customers. And it just means as well that we can think about doing things differently. We can change the workflows that we've had for so long. And there is an appetite for that. I think people feel, once you articulate where you want to go and the vision and the journey, people get that, and bringing them along at the same time has been really important. So yes, the project is being led by heads of, but actually we're doing lots of workshops. We've done many over the last 18 months where we have brought in some really great external facilitators to kind of help with those sensitive conversations around collaboration, and bringing those teams along with us and helping them to shape where they see the future. How do they see marketing and commissioning working together, for instance? And that has been really helpful. And I think another team that we've really had to closely align with is our tech colleagues. And I've been really, really pleased actually to see how much tech colleagues have wanted to find out about marketing. I don't think that's necessarily always been the case. But again, because we have had quite a clear vision, and that has been endorsed by senior managers and senior decision makers, that has really helped with that message across the organisation. So, tech colleagues are talking marketing terms in meetings, and it's all reeling off their tongue now, and they needed a bit of not education as such, but we definitely needed to explain to them some of the marketing terms that we have been using that maybe had turned them off previously. And they've started to see actually the tech that we're bringing in, the data insights that we're going to get. This is a really nice way to see how marketing is adding value and how the tech is going to enable them to support us with that as well.
Brilliant, thank you, Natasha. Yes.
I am a massive fan of getting it down on paper, so I would recommend that you do like a business case, even if it's not, you're a small organisation. Get down what your aim is and structure it really well, and then that's what we did, or I did, and then you obviously then got resource backing, and then suddenly it's important, and everyone's asking you how it's going. The second thing is get a steering committee together and have all of those different departments, as Claire sort of already highlighted, like IT, sales, all the partners, editorial, product, etc. Get that steering committee so that they're fully bought into the plan and the business plan that you're writing, make them feel part of it. And then have your working group of the actual doers get it all done. So I think for me, it's just getting organised internally with a common business case, basically. Yeah. And then I'm a massive team player, massive sports fan, always have been since I was a kid. So it's having a very team attitude to that. And then we're better together, and we're going to get it done together. But remembering it's not going to be easy through that. I mean, this will take years to really do it properly. We're all on this journey, as Claire's already pointed out. We're never going to be done type thing. But have fun along the way with your team, and just make sure you bring them in early from that very sort of initial business case point of view, and make sure you're including everyone.
Natasha, I'm curious, what is the motivational speech that you give in the data locker room?
Get it done.
Full stop or stop?
Yeah, stop.
Thanks, Jake. Is Jake here? Oh, Jake, you've let me down not being here. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so this question is for all of you. So I'm going to start, Natasha, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I know, I'm just so mean like that. What are the lessons that you have learned? Learned?
I think that it isn't easy, and being okay with that. This is quite a difficult thing to do. It's multifaceted, as I said earlier, and just remember what you're focused on and all the hurdles that come up against you. It's okay to fail, but just fail fast and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So things like, one example is, we might be collecting the data and doing trigger marketing, but why is it not actually working? Well, going back to that, content is king. Maybe you're not using the right content to really engage the person at that right time. So you might be able to say, okay, I can see all the people who are ordering open access and not. Let's go after people that are not, and then let's start, trying to convert them. And why isn't that working? It's just testing. I mean, marketers always done A/B testing, but it's like testing.
Well, they should do.
Well, they should be doing.
But we don't ever get time to.
That's true.
If you have hum, it just works.
Oh,
it
I'm
just
sure.
works like that.
There's your little plug.
It's true, multi-arm banded.
But I think that sort of content, think about what you're engaging. So we sunset the Hindawi brand, as you know, as most of you will know, in June. We launched the Forward Journals, and we launched a really innovative campaign. I'll say that because obviously it's mine. I'm allowed to. And we did a personality quiz. So basically we designed, based on our personas of our early career researchers, we did this really nice quiz. I don't know whether any of you have seen it. Really fun, and it asked people 10 questions, and it gave them one of 4 characters as their result. Trailblazer, and I was, a trailblazer, of course, but, whatever. And then we had little fun characters, and it was very different, very unwily. And then we gave laptop stickers away. So it's worked also at conferences, like in person, as well as online and digitally. And we partnered with Charlesworth Group, who is probably somewhere in the room.
Mike's
here,
at the back there. Mike, give away.
to do it in China. And we had to obviously adapt the characters and all that sort of thing. But, things have been difficult for us, through this process. But it's how do we turn that around? Think about the customer, think about how to engage them. And we know these are early career researchers that want to publish in these journals from regions like China. How do we get there and do that in an engaging way?
Brilliant, thank you. Dustin?
One of the things you might hear when you hear Natasha talk about the kind of get your data in order and consolidate is it's sequential. You do that and then you can do all of the fun sort of marketing activations and activities. And it's a long, indefinite journey. There's nobody achieves the sort of ideal state. And I think there's this notion, and sometimes we'll hear it, is we just need to get our data in order and then we'll be ready to do some of this stuff. And then we'll typically talk 3 years later and they'll be minimally advanced. What they're really thinking about is like the siloed data that Claire talked about. It's in a manuscript submission and peer review system. It's in a marketing automation system. It's in some sort of CRM or data warehouse. And they have these multi-year sort of activities to kind of organize it all together.
In an Excel document.
Oh, yeah. And then a million of those sort of things, and no data governance and whatever else. So the sort of things that Natasha's talking about, absolutely valid, true, good. It's like good nutrition for your organization, good data hygiene. But the sort of, and behavioral data is the big sort of thing that we bring to the table. It is one thing where you can do both and you can basically advance both tracks, where the behavioral data that's coming from readers coming to the site, consuming content, that's something which, if you don't have the right technology in place, then ultimately that data washes away. And so one of the things that we advance is like there's a light sort of way to start, and then you can continue to advance and make that data healthier, do things like data cleaning and enrichment, and then merge those things together over time. And so the sort of just get off the starting blocks is a sort of thing that we'd heartily recommend, and that pairs well with the experimentation bit.
Brilliant, thanks, Dustin. And Jake's just walked in. Hey, Jake. We talked about you about 5 minutes ago, so I'm just pointing you out. I know, I'm embarrassing you. I'm so mean. Claire.
So many lessons learned, actually. So I think the key one really that has come around probably over the last couple of years is that we have people who know data in-house, but we don't have experts. And I think that was one of the barriers, I think, to us taking some of these steps and these actions. And it was the recognition that we need to bring in experts. We need to bring in consultants who understand what we're trying to achieve as a society publisher, who understand what our vision is, and can help us with the very overwhelming technological solutions that are out there, because it is overwhelming. There are so many to choose from, and how do you make sure that that's the right fit for what you want to do with your business, and also thinking about the future as well. So we've had some fantastic external support helping us, and also Natasha's point, bringing in colleagues who are new to the business. So we've got heads of data analytics now, we've got data marketing execs we brought in, who have that total data-driven mindset already, and it's marrying those roles with those existing brand marketeers and how we can make those work together as well. So yeah, and then when you do have people in the teams who have an appetite for data, I think also really trying to support them and support them with training and development as well, because it is going to be so important to all of our roles. We have to have data-driven mindset, data-driven decisions that we need to take. So yeah, those were just a couple of my lessons learned.
Fantastic. So my last question to you, and I'm going to dust in. I was looking at Natasha, it's like, oh, it's coming to me. So what one bit of advice, just one bit of advice, oh, hello, would you give to anyone looking to make better decisions with their data? Just one. God, oh, is that hard? Didn't you have this question before?
I did.
feel like you're conflicted.
Yeah, I am conflicted because what I really want to say is like, I mean, frankly, we've democratized sort of technology. So I'm just going to give the conflicted answer. It's like even if you're a tiny publisher, like our minimal sort of license is like $25K a year. So it's a portion of a single individual, which gives you massive sort of power, which you can make back many-fold over. So that's the deeply conflicted answer. Difficult not to say that. But the sort of broader, if you were to take a step back, part of it is like partnership where, these are new sort of tactics and you need some fresh ideas and likely some support. And so Claire talked about, the various sorts of consultants and help that you can get. So part of it's how do you bring the right sort of people in the building, and you may have that option to sort of reform your teams over time. And part of it is how do you, in the meantime, try to get the right expertise in the building and the right tools.
Brilliant, thank you, Dustin. Claire?
I guess the key piece of advice is to plan your future state. I think that has been really helpful for us. I think in terms of the people involved directly in the project, knowing where we want to go, but also when you have to bring in stakeholders and you are trying to win hearts and minds to support your case. I think most people understand the value of data, but what are you planning to do with that data and how is it going to improve the customer experience? And I think really having that articulated, again, we worked with consultants to help with that, but I think that helped us with setting our path, and it also helped us with being able to check in at times to make sure we were making the right progress, we were making the right decisions, we were partnering with the right people, the right products. So I think that has always been the kind of key, the key message I would take is just, make sure you know where you're going, and you might not know how you're getting there, but you know what end state you want to get to.
And know it's going to change, right?
Exactly.
You're like,
very much.
You look scarred.
Yes. Oh, no.
Not bad.
I thought I'd put on enough makeup today, but no, obviously not.
And Natasha?
I agree with Dustin and Claire, but just to say something different, and as publishers, I'll say do your research. So I read this really good paper by McKinsey about personalisation, and I can send you guys the reference afterwards, but basically that sort of taught me, okay, that is what I want. And I think some of this is all a bit scary, right, to anyone going, oh yeah, I want what Claire's got or Natasha and Dustin are doing, I just want to do that. But it's like, as research publishers, I would just recommend you do a bit of reading and get your knowledge up, and then you'll have the confidence and then be able to talk to maybe consultants or employ people in that type of thing, depending what route you're going.
Amazing. So if any of our panel do want to share any links or further reading, please do put it on your LinkedIn, and then everyone can go and connect with you on there and bombard you on there. That would be brilliant.
Splendid idea.
So please do pop any questions in. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to our incredible panel, who are wonderful people anyway, not just incredible industry colleagues. So please say a big, big thank you to them. And Emma, I wonder if you could just stand up for, I'll give you 60 seconds if you like. Yeah. Is there a roving mic? Hello. There we go. Yeah, so Emma is just going to mention something that 67 Bricks had worked on for AIPP, just in terms of author data.
Yes, so hi, I'm Emma from 67 Bricks. Massively passionate about getting better data in and marketing, as Claire, who used to manage me, will know. I don't shut up about it. But I think there's a real value in also kind of doing the iterative, really small bits and pieces. So I just wanted to kind of seed a little thing that we did for AIPP a while ago. So they came to us and just said, look, we've got so much data, as rightly Natasha said, everybody's got loads of data. We want to know how to make better decisions. So we ran a series of kind of discovery experiments, essentially, one of which was looking at relationship data in the author database. So they had a huge author database, they knew exactly who their authors were, but what they didn't actually know was what the kind of interconnectedness was between them. So we just did a very simple experiment, making graph databases to uncover the relationships data in between, so they could see kind of where there were like nodes of real influencers within their data set, and that really helped them to kind of make some strategic decisions about how to attack, people who have a lot more sway in the publishing world than you might otherwise realise. But also, I just wanted to kind of really put a plug for marketing being at the top of all of this stuff. we've talked a bit about kind of OA flipping the model, going from kind of B to B to B to C. And I think traditionally, because I come from a publishing background, you know, marketing was kind of seen at the end of the process of kind of pushing the data, pushing the content, whereas now we're like, we have the opportunity to be at the very top, and making decisions using data is going to be essential to test assumptions that other colleagues may have about the way that markets are going to behave in the future. There was just an amazing session about India, how that market's changing.
Yeah.
And I think if we all try to make decisions on how to attack that market based on previous assumptions and not testing that with data, we're going to fall. And so it's up to us in the room to make sure that our individual society publishers and bigger publishers and whomever are making the right decisions, and we can only do that with proper data. So if anybody wants to talk about that with me afterwards, come find me. I'm in an obnoxiously red dress.
Thanks so much, Emma. Okay, so we have just a couple minutes. I know it's nearly lunchtime. Oh, we could keep them from lunch. Oh, how mean we are. No, Dan is like, don't do it. Riot. No. So, Dan, we have time for maybe one or two questions.
Okay. Well, we're tied for most popular questions, so I'll go for the order in which we receive them. The first question is, what kind of data would you say is most valuable if you're experimenting with or considering investing in AI?
Oh,
Justin.
Yeah. I know. Sorry. Yeah, again. So behavioral is what I would categorize. So classically, you have the kind of identity, who people are, demographic information about them, and transactional, these kind of big, bright signals. There's not really that much you can do on that side. But the sort of behavior, what people are consuming, and the types of things they're attracted to, those are the things which it's very plentiful. You have data at scale. You're working on entire audience bases, you know, millions, hundreds of millions of individuals, hundreds of data points. And ultimately, if you're able to structure that, so one of the things we're able to do with our AI native layer is, as you capture that, you can represent people according to their topical affinity, and then automatically find people who are sort of close in the AI space. So a lot of data, if you structure it well, ultimately very valuable.
Brilliant. Thanks, Justin. So just before we go, I have one sneaky question to ask, because I'm quite intrigued by what you said there. Are you able to say how many unique contacts you have in your database?
Oh, sure, yeah.
How many?
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm going to ask you all three, just to say a number quickly.
Well, Hum is going to lose. I mean,
What do you mean? No, but if you think about your customer base, and you said, in total we have...
Oh, yeah.
Because you said hundreds of millions, and I'm thinking, does Wiley actually have hundreds of millions?
We have millions.
Millions, yeah.
Yeah, not hundreds.
To tens. I would say you're in your anonymous audience is probably tens of millions.
Anonymous, yeah. I was talking like the ones I can market to. I have to sign up and
Yeah,
tick that box.
I would have an estimate that I'd probably be within 20% of, but yeah.
And are you millions in physics?
No, no. We have over a million.
Billion, then.
No. We have over a million on our database, but like Natasha, it's those who we can contact for marketing purposes. So yeah, no.
That's
Also, you can learn on all the other that aren't
Absolutely.
signed up.
Yeah.
But I
who we can
sure
actively
about
have as
the
a user
specific
base.
User base. Yeah.
Amazing. Right, guys, it's lunch. Thank you so much for spending time with us. But we have one more very quick announcement from Alison. Alison's coming with the roving mic. Make sure you should just be on. Have you turned it on?
Hello? Yes. Hi there. I'm just going to hold you back for one more minute. I'm Alison Lang. I'm one of the directors at ALPS. Really good to see you all. I want to thank Lou and Dustin, Claire and Natasha for a really, really insightful session. I love how we talked about collaboration and then you ended up with a nice little competitive edge. Good move there. I'm just going to hold you back one more minute just to announce that next door, AGM for ALPS members, please do come along. There's a lunch outside waiting for you. It will save you queuing downstairs. And you get to hear about our wonderful training and mentorship programs, which are really going from strength to strength. And really, there's probably some mentors in here actually, so a massive thanks for all that you do. But come along next door, it's just across there. And thanks again for an absolutely wonderful panel, and look forward to seeing you at the AGM. Thank you. You might get to vote.